Hi, we're up and running. Thanks for tuning in. And this is my first time doing this now. So off we go. I'm going to start with paint and colour. And what you do need for this, it is a little bit more than a pencil, is one brush if you have it. And any kind of paints. They can be kiddie paints, watercolours, acrylics. You might have great paints, or you might have just a little box of children's paints. Anything will work for this. It's just about learning a little bit about colour. And I think it's a fun place to start. And the first thing you'll do, if you can, we're going to draw the colour wheel. So we'll draw a wheel with a plate. You can just get a plate or the top of a saucepan or something. This looks very big, but actually it isn't. It's the top of a regular size pan. And divide it in 6. Make 3 lines through it. And you can see it there, the end result over here. And down here I have one partly done. So I'm going to draw your attention to colours and to the primary colours, which means the first colours. And those of you who've done this before now will have heard me say all this. And the primary colours are yellow, red and blue. Not up here, what I have you may not see. I purposely put up here, I think it's cerulean blue. It's like a turquoise and a magenta. You don't want those because they're already mixes, those lovely pretty colours. You want a nice true blue. And like if you were going out buying paints, you would be buying either an ultramarine or a cobalt. They're very similar. A red, a cadmium red and a cadmium yellow, medium hues. That's just to give you the terminology if you want those. But red, blue and yellow. I'm going to get rid of that now. This is one that's partly done, and why I did this was to draw your attention. When you paint in, you're going to paint in triangles, one of red, one of yellow and one of blue, and leave a gap in between. So it's going to look like that. Is it the poison sign or the nuclear waste sign or something? And I'm going to stick that over out of the way. Now really, really quickly, I have my brush here in water and I have it all cleaned. Now I've got a nice fancy palette here, looking a bit like Picasso, but don't mind that. You can paint on an old plate. I often use the top of a plastic Dulux bucket, anything that'll show you the colour and that won't absorb the paint. So I'm going to start with the yellow. I have it all put out here because the yellow is the lightest colour and I just want to keep it clean. So I'm going to paint in super fast, one triangle. This isn't about straight lines. I'm going to clean my brush out really quickly. I have a nice clean rag here somewhere. There. And then I'm going to go on to the red and I'm going to leave a gap. So these are your primaries. And every colour, believe it or not, in the whole universe comes from red, blue, yellow, black and white. And you can make them. They're like core colours, essential colours, pure pigments. Whereas every other colour comes from them. They're all derived. They're all mixes of what we'll be calling secondary colours and tertiary colours, like third colours, 3 mixes. But don't worry about that. I'm going to put up, this is going to be very quick now, but I'm going to put up a link to a really good lesson on colour mixing on the colour wheel that I got from a colleague. And it'd be great if you had a look at it, even though it doesn't take long, 20 minutes or something or less, but she packs in about 3 or 4 classes in it. So it's a good way to get familiar with the terminology and all the rest of it. But don't fuss about it, don't get put off by it anyway. But there is a lot to learn in it, but she's got an awful lot in there. You'd think you're supposed to know all that after 20 minutes. You couldn't possibly. So, but I would recommend it all the same. So leave a gap, and the reason you're leaving a gap in your triangles here, and you can see they don't have to be the same size or anything, is that you want to put the mixes in between the 2 colours that you actually mix. So if you're going to mix red and yellow, put it in between so you know it's those 2 rather than putting it over here and you forget and you might think blue. This is why I did one. I have that kind of done ahead. The other reason I did this one was just to show you the differences. I'll bring it up close, and then this one. I mixed red, and the red and the blue mix here gave me this, do you see this kind of maroony colour? It looks just like the Galway jersey. And this one then has a bit more blue. They're both red and blue. They're exactly out of the same cartons of paint. And this one you might not totally see it there, is much more lavendery. I don't know if you can catch those colours, but you might just see the hues there. So just to show you that it's all about how much of a mix you make. So how much yellow and orange. If you make it more yellowy, let's just do a different one for fun here. Clean out the brushes. So let's say, looking at my palette here, this thing we call a palette. It actually means your colours, your combination of colours. That's what the word palette stands for. So I'm only going to put in a tiny bit of red. It looks just on the tip of my brush, the tiniest bit. And already it's orangey. I'll put a teeny bit more. So I'm going for a very light orange, not a deepy, just a light mixture. Oh yeah, that's very subtle. So I'm going to put in a bit more red. Oh, we're gone really into a kind of a more blood orange almost here. And there we go. I'm not a perfectionist here. It's not about straight lines or anything like that. It's better to leave perfection outside the door when it comes to painting. It's try and enjoy the process and relax and forget about the end result, really, because you'll surprise yourself. And I think everybody throws away more than they ever keep, but nobody ever sees what we throw away. We only show off what we like. So then there's yellow and blue, but I'm out of yellow. So I think you get the drift. So just pop a little bit in here. I'm hoping, I've gone out of that. And I'm just going to do the same here into the blue. And straight away, I've got a kind of a bottley green here. If I put in another bit of yellow, it's going to be much more grassy. They're kind of a grassy green. And I can pop that in there. And there's my basic colour wheel. So now, we call these three are the primaries, yellow, red and blue. And the secondaries, that's two mixes, are orange, those two together, purple and the red. And then to befuddle you more, the complementaries, what they call complementary colours, sit opposite each other. So when you do the colour wheel, hang on to it. Be great, stick it up in a fridge. It's really good to sort of let it just seep into you, because you'll come back to it again and again and again. And so the ones that sit opposite each other, they kind of, you could say they excite each other. They work great together in a painting, but never in the same amounts, otherwise they compete. So if you're trying to figure out how to solve a problem, let's say you've loads and loads of green in a landscape, just the tiniest bit of red, a red flower, a tiny little bit, will just lift it off the page and work wonders. And that always works. You just use them in different amounts. I'm going to leave it at that, and I'll put up the other video, and I'll write up this as well on the WhatsApp. So talk to you soon. That's loads to keep you going for this week.